Well, hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. I hope you're all doing well. We're here with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news this morning, and we'll be talking about Manchester United's transfer race being over and a few other things as well. Ben Yedder, Joao Felix, Marcus Rashford, Alexis Sanchez and a few other things as well. But let's start off with the headline of the show today. Manchester United's transfer race over. Now this is in the context of this Harry Kane story and a couple of others, because I think over the last week what we've seen is expectations realistically getting out of hand. And as I said, I spoke to somebody last week who's given us information in the past and I think they've been very accurate. I know we didn't buy the players they said last year, but we did end up signing Bruno. We were in for Meunier. We did want Sancho. We just couldn't get him. So they had a 2 out of 3 strike rate there, which I think will be proven with Sancho this summer. But of course, a lot of people always say, well, what did they say about other signings? Well, I've already given that information. Sancho is the priority for Manchester United. Jack Grealish is a player that we're looking at, and that is it. So hence, the information that I've got is very interesting compared to the stuff that you see over the last week. And look, let's not pretend this is to do with lockdown. This is Manchester United Football Club. Manchester United release it after every transfer window. We've been linked to 200 players. And this will happen every year. We will get linked to players. It's been happening for years. It's been happening for 20, 30 years. As long as I can remember, really. We just live in a world where people consume more football news and there's more outlets. But United are going to continue to get linked to players we don't even know. I mean, Joao Felix, we'll be talking about that in a minute. I mean, I'll give you my comments on that in a minute. But in relation to Manchester United's transfer race for Harry Kane, or transfer race for a centre-back in Koulibaly or Upamecano, or a centre defensive midfielder, the blunt answer is we're not in for those players. We're not looking at that. And of course things can change, and you've got to look at the transfer market as it is. You've got Arsenal, you've got other clubs who have taken pay cuts. How can they be buying players? And that's in the richest league in the world, Premier League. So what's going to happen in France? What's going to happen in Portugal? What's going to happen in Spain? What's going to happen in Italy? Clubs are going to have to sell to stay alive. Manchester United might change their plans and go, you know what, there's bargains to be had. Get the shopping bag, get the bag for life. We're off to Europe to get some bargains. And United might do that, and they'd be foolish not to do that. But United also have two things here. One, their current plan, and two, their current budget. And their budget will change. But I tell you what, a lot of outlets and a lot of betting companies have Man United as favourites to sign Harry Kane. That transfer race is over. It's not even being run. If there was a 100-metre dash and the winner gets Harry Kane and everyone's lining up, do you want to know how many people are lining up? Manchester United aren't lining up. They're not waiting for the gun to fire to run. They're not there. I'm out. We're not in it. And I don't know a club that's in it. Maybe Newcastle are late to the party because they can afford it, but there's Harry Kane's running away from the finish line because he doesn't want to get caught by Newcastle. He stood at the end going like this: Madrid, Juventus, Manchester United, come and hug me. And then there's no one at the starting line. Man United are not in the race for Harry Kane. It isn't going to happen. Under no circumstances will that happen. Look, never say never, because things can change. And I think people are foolish when they say it never ever can happen, because what's happening today can be different tomorrow. But as things stand, I was told this last week, and I think all of you are intelligent enough to figure this out yourself. Manchester United's transfer plan is this: Jadon Sancho, a player if Paul Pogba goes, and that could be a Grealish or whoever, and a striker which may well end up being a Gallo. So Jadon Sancho at this moment in time is the Manchester United transfer target and could well be the only deal they do. They could do one deal, they could do no deals, they could do 3 deals. And the 3 deals would be a Pogba replacement, and a Gallo replacement, and Jadon Sancho. Could it go beyond that? Of course it could, but I think an element of realism's here. A lot of people keep talking about this. I've seen various people saying we want CDMs, we want centre-backs, we want 2 midfielders. We're definitely going to sign a striker. And I think it muddies the waters. In fact, I read somebody yesterday from the same outlet, I think it was The Athletic, saying that United wanted a different set of players to what David Ornstein had said on Friday. And there was, maybe you could interpret it the same, but actually it read quite different in relation to priorities. So everybody's getting different information. Everyone's got different opinions. The person who speaks to me is not those 2 people, and I'm being told that Manchester United, Sancho, maybe a Grealish if Pogba goes, and the striker situation needs to be solved, and that will probably be it as things stand now. But it depends on how this transfer market's going to go, and I would lean towards this: if there are bargains to be had, What a time to be Newcastle United. You could swoop in with a load of money and buy a load of players cheap. People talk about financial fair play, but I'm sure Newcastle, even under financial fair play, can probably spend 100 to 200 million pounds. Imagine what they can get from that by scouring Europe and all the clubs that are in trouble. So look, of course United might do that, but they might not do that. If they are going to do that, the first player I want to talk about today is Ben Yedder. Now, Ben Yedder is a striking option. He's got 19 goals in 31 games for Monaco. He's 30 in January, which makes him a year younger than Agallo, I think. But this is a different type of forward who many people wanted Yedder to come to United last summer from Sevilla, and he went to Monaco. However, Monaco are in problems for two reasons. One, they're not going to be in the Champions League next year. And two, they're in a league that they may need to sell in. They may be losing money, even though Monaco is obviously quite an affluent area in the world of football. So Ben Yedder becomes an option. But I would say about Ben Yedder, I think, he's quite small, he's fast, he gives us something a little bit different. Not dissimilar to someone like Dries Mertens, really. But I go, why did United not go for him last summer? That's the only thing I would say. So I think it's an option, and I think it's an option many of you would like as a striking option, Ben Yedder. You've got to look at his age. You've got to look at why we didn't go for him before. But I think he is one of those developing players where, look I'll be absolutely honest with you. What are the chances? Who is more likely that United are going to sign? Harry Kane or Ben Yedder? I suppose that's what I'm trying to say. We're not in that Harry Kane race. We can't be in it. We might want to be, but we can't be. Ben Yedder, yeah, we could well be in that race. And in some ways, maybe that's a player that United would look at. That's coming out of Le Ten, and who also have reported about Joao Felix. And this, to me, is crazy. Le Ten are saying that Le Ten Sport, who are a French outlet, they're saying, so interesting about Ben Yedder because he's French and he's playing in the French league. I don't know why Le Ten Sport would be talking about Joao Felix, who currently plays for Atletico Madrid, but they're saying that Manchester United, Joao Felix would be a really, really good fit. But of course, he only went to Diego Simeone's Atletico Madrid for about £100 million a year ago. And I'm sure Atletico Madrid have got loads of players, if they're in financial difficulties, they can move before they move their big signing from last summer. I mean, Joao Felix at Manchester United with Bruno Fernandes, I think would be quite funny, really, because those two players were the players that tore up the Portuguese league last season. But I can't see United looking at this sort of a signing. And Joao Felix isn't a player we're going to look at. He's not a right winger. He's not a centre forward. He's an attacking midfielder stroke false nine. He's not what United are going to be looking at, especially when we've got Bruno, which is the big clue, really. So this is just a story for story's sake. And United won't be doing this deal. Again, it's not a race that we're going to be in. And Atletico Madrid have got Partey, Saul Niguez, and a load of other Lamar. They've got loads of players that they're going to get rid of before they even consider doing that. But it is in the news, so I thought I'd mention it. Also in relation to Atletico Madrid, it was quite interesting, is Bertra. I think it's Andreas Bertra, who has been linked to us before as a potential sporting director of football. This is coming from AS in Spain, saying that he's doing a good job at Atletico Madrid and Manchester United would be interested in getting hold of him. I don't think he's been at Madrid for that long. I would certainly welcome him at Manchester United. I think we are in a position at United now where we do have a hole between the manager and Ed Woodward where a sporting director or director of football is required, and I would hope that that hole is filled with somebody who is competent and proven, and not, Rio Ferdinand or Darren Fletcher, who basically are going to be a big name with no experience, who just basically become puppets on the string for the board. I don't want that. I want established people. So, yeah, Bertra would be interesting, but again, I don't think that's going to happen. But we do need that position. You've got Solskjaer now in charge of recruitment. You've got Woodward in charge of negotiating the recruitment. I think you do need a specialist in between there, because let's not forget, regardless of our head of recruitment, regardless of our scouts, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a very inexperienced coach. Should he have sole responsibility for saying these are the players that we need? I think he needs an experienced person with him whose role is to be that director of football. So hopefully United will be looking to fill that sooner rather than later. Interesting comments from Marcus Rashford. He's been doing a lot over the lockdown. He's raised over £20 million, which is absolutely fantastic. The modern footballer in the right way, I think, Marcus Rashford, getting himself involved in the right things, but also talented on the pitch. Maybe he's learnt a lot from people around him, like Jesse, and being at a big club like Manchester United at a young age. But he's doing great things, and he's been very honest. And what he basically said is that the lockdown obviously is not a good thing, but in relation to his recuperation, he'll get the full recuperation that he needs. And he said that, look, I was looking to come back sort of April, May time, and even though it might not have been the right thing, I would have wanted to go to the Euros and effectively possibly go to the Euros and not be 100% fit. I remember speaking about this back in January on a live show, and a lot of you said it as well. The trouble with Rashford is he needs somebody behind. He needs somebody to stop him, because he's just Wayne Rooney all over again. Rooney used to do this. Just wants to play football so much that gets themselves back for England, gets themselves back for United, and doesn't ever fully recover. And Rashford was clearly, admittedly, and holds his hands up and says, I was looking to do that. But this lockdown is not a good thing, but it could be very important to Marcus Rashford's career, because he's been forced to have the layoff at the perfect time that he needed. He can't start training really now till late May. He can't start playing football till whenever we come back, which is going to be exactly the perfect layoff from January to whenever for him to have the layoff that he needed. And if he comes back a bit early and he's still carrying a niggle, that niggle develops into something else over the coming weeks and months and years. So this could be massive for Marcus Rashford's career. But I think it just goes to show two things. On a positive, this is a lad who just wants to play football and get out there for the teams that he plays for, whether it's Man United or England, which is fantastic. But two, where are the Solskjaers and everybody else saying you're not coming back training? You know, the coach, not even Solskjaer, the medical staff at United that get a lot of stick. The fitness and medical department at United has got a bad track record. So when Rashford's saying I probably would have come back a bit early and forced myself to go to England because I wanted to go, where's the medical people? It undermines the medical staff that they actually can't say no. And you need to be strong, because we need Rashford for the next 10 years, not the next 10 weeks. So there is a positive there that he will get the layoff that he needs and the recuperation that he needs. Also, the Chile coach talking about Alexis Sanchez, saying that he's got a lot of top quality football left in him. He's just had a bad year, and there's a lot more to come from Alexis Sanchez, which I think is quite interesting, because I think Alexis Sanchez is always somebody on the back burner with United. He's always in our thoughts. And, Newcastle United, as I said last night, he's got plenty of football left in him. He's the perfect signing for you. But in relation to Manchester United, I've got to say, I've seen Sanchez. We've all seen Sanchez. He hasn't got much top level football in him. He's got no Premier League top football left in him. That is a fact. He might be able to do it in Serie A. He might be able to do it in a good team in La Liga. But the Premier League is not for Alexis Sanchez anymore. And I think, in fairness to Sanchez, he knows this. He knows this. He will have seen what we saw the season before last, when he was playing like against Southampton and that, and he's just not, his body's just not quick enough as it was in the Arsenal days. So I think Sanchez has cottoned onto this himself. He's a professional footballer with a very good career. He won't want to dwindle and be ineffective, and he will want to play somewhere where he can get the best out of his talent, and the Premier League is not for him. And the Chile coach and Sanchez can believe what they want to believe, but anybody who knows anything about football and has watched Sanchez, it's the thing that happens to everybody when they get a little bit older. The mind's willing, but the body ain't giving. And Sanchez makes the runs, but his body's not quick enough to get there anymore. And I saw that lots of times. I saw Pogba knocking the ball into the space. He's made the run, but the defender's quicker than him to get there, even though Sanchez has made the run. And that's not going to get any better at United. And I don't see where he fits in, because he's an explosive player, Alexis Sanchez. He's a flair player. And when you take a yard of pace off him, he's not someone like Ronaldo, who's a physical beast. You can put him as a number 9 if he loses a yard of pace. You can't do that with Sanchez. I don't think you can make him be a number 10, because actually Sanchez gives the ball away a lot. And also we've got Bruno, we've got other people who can do that. So I don't see a future for Sanchez at United. I think he's got to find his future himself, and I think he will do that, because that's what he did last summer. So, yeah, we'll wait and see. Anyway, we've got the Flex and Rant show coming up live at 1 o'clock. I think Expressions is going to join them, the Spurs fan. And I no doubt they will be talking about the Harry Kane transfer. That race is over as far as I'm concerned. He's not a player that we're looking at, but it'd be interesting to see what Expressions has got to say. And maybe we should say it's on just to wind him up a bit. But look, I'll be back at 8 o'clock tonight with the live show as usual. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Have a good day, and I'll speak to you all soon.